Um, so what we're going to do is I'm first going to just share with y'all a little bit about the ministry, and then we will, and logistics of the day, or the days, and then we will go into a time of just kind of looking at the book and seeing kind of what the journey is going to be about. And then we're going to end with an icebreaker so we can get to know each other a little bit better, and then our exercise will be after that. And so it's for the exerciser of any level, we always like to say. And I'm assuming we're going to be in my workout room, and Karen can't wait. And I now have 4 dogs since y'all last left me. I don't remember how many I had then. But so it is going to be, I am a little bit anxious about how this is going to work out, but God knows, so that's good. So Imago Dei Ministries, which you obviously know something about if you're here today, but is a 3-faceted ministry. It is the Bible study, which is what we do on every other Thursday morning. Although I will say, take note of your syllabus. It is always, is that what's under here? It's always crazier in the spring. I think it was a little crazy this fall too because of the quest, but we've tried to mark it on here for you, but like we only have one meeting in March. We try to avoid public school, private school, Davie County, Forsyth County, all the counties for like spring breaks and Easter and all that. As well as I have some commitments, and Karen was so sweet as we were working on these to say, oh, but if we can work around your commitments. A lot of times I miss one in the spring, but we've worked it out so I don't have to do that. So that's exciting for me and Karen, because we won't have to video me before I leave. So, but check your syllabus because it's not exactly every other Thursday. So make sure that, and make sure, and those dates are on we're not great about our website, but they are loaded on the calendar on our website. The website is a great place to send ladies to. It's still, every now and again, I'll go look and make sure I feel like it's still relevant and still that we don't look like we're from the 80s. So it was done in the 2000s, so we're still good to go. And a lot of your sweet faces are on there, so that is a good place to go to learn about the ministry. So the 3-faceted ministry, this is Bible study. We do Image Quest Weekend, which several of you were a part of, and that we went on in the fall. We do those about every 18 months, so we've got a while before one is coming up. It is our weekend retreat that we, the last one we did, I think, was the best one ever. And so that happens every time. So when we start getting geared up for a new one, we will let y'all know, and because it will be the best one ever, so you'll want to go on it. And so that's a great getaway. And then our third part of the ministry is Imago Dei in Action, which are called IDAs. And that is just anything that we organize that is outside of the Bible study or our weekend retreat. So we just had our, I don't know what annual blanket distribution yesterday where we collect, is it number 4? A great ministry to the homeless in downtown Winston where we collect blankets and other warm things. And they had a great day yesterday. I was unable to be there since I was going to be away from work today. But I saw pictures and heard lots of stories. And I know y'all, you were there, weren't you? Yeah. And so anything we do, and we're always up for advertising, organizing, things that will be of interest and line up with our mission statement. So always give us ideas. If you've got some ideas of things to do, we've done all kinds of things over the years of our ministry in terms of Imago Dei in Action. So that brings us to that the ministry is really just founded out of redefining our images in the way that Christ would have them, and how, and this began many years ago as the Lord putting on my heart my desire for women's ministry, but also my desire for adventure and anything athletic. But the ministry really isn't an athletic ministry, but it's about touching women through spirit, soul, and body. And so everything we do when we focus in on choosing books that we're going to be reading or activities that we're going to be doing, we look back at that mission statement, and that is to help women redefine their image to look more like Christ and less like the world, and to do that through spirit, soul, and body. And so we've rung true to that for all these years and have not felt any need to change that. In fact, it becomes more and more important. You would think as some of us get older, as I get older, I mean, I started this in, before I was 40, and You think that would get it easier. And in some ways it does get a little easier as you get older and more wiser, and grow in the Lord. But also, I think as our world progresses, it gets more difficult with all the social media and all the ways that we can put our focus on so many other things, in particular our physical appearance. I mean, there are just so many ways out there to help your body out these days. I mean, you can get all kinds of surgeries, you can use all kinds of ointments, you can do all kinds of colors. I mean, it's just crazy, and it's like just continues, that industry continues on, how to look younger, how to look, I don't know, more sophisticated, how to look, whatever the case may be. And I don't think that's going to change. And so for me, I'm grateful to be part of a ministry that maybe felt more important when I was in my 30s, but really just feels more important now. It used to be that we fought against, whenever I gave my blurb about Imago Dei, I'd always say, we're fighting against the magazine racks, in the grocery store, because the world is screaming at you from those magazine racks. You need this to be successful, you need that to be successful, your house needs to look like this, your husband needs to look this way, you need this kind of job, your kids need to do this is what your hair needs to look like, this is what your body needs to look like, and this is the kind of food you need to serve. And, so that was always right there in those magazine racks. But right now, in this day and age, it's so many other places. It's everywhere, and it's in our culture. And so it's even embedded deep within us. And so I think it's a constant battle against Satan that we just have to continue to put in front of our faces what it looks like to have more of our focus of our image being in him, and pushing away the image that the world is going to continue to feed you. And so, oh gosh, are we getting, do I feel bad? That's weird. I don't know how to change that, so I hope nothing dicey comes across the way. Brian might say something about the donkey, I don't know, because I did tell him I was donkey chasing. It's my neighbor's, but she's out of town. So, and I'm the only person on the street, I think, home. So anyway, that's what you do when you live on a private road. Everybody just rallies all the animals. But anyway, so that's sort of what the mission statement is. And so as we journey into a new book, even though the books that we do can be different, we want to study it with that reflection in mind, with that basis in mind. And that's how I choose to study it and how we choose to lead it. So I'm super excited about that. And we will talk about the Bible. We will talk about the Bible. But we'll also talk about the book in just a second. Just some logistics. We have 2 sheets that I want to pass around. One is morning munchies. So you can see that we have a lovely spread provided by some lovely women this morning. And we enjoy to do that so that, you can, for one, because we're going to be working out if you're staying for that. But also, it's just a nice way to start your day and to know that you're going to have a nice little munchie here. So if that's something you would like to do, store-bought stuff is amazing and wonderful. And so that is perfectly fine. This doesn't have to be like, the brunch from, I don't know, some fancy restaurant. So please consider doing that. Join a friend or just sign up and a friend will join you. Another thing that we're real big on is our prayer partners. And thank you for those of you who were praying yesterday. We ask that y'all sign up. And this is nothing, you don't have to pray on the phone with anybody. You don't have to pray out loud anywhere. It's just in your prayer times coming into that week, but specifically that Wednesday, the day before, we have truly found that this makes a big difference. But also, if there is a crisis, which sometimes there is, with particularly me or somebody in my family or somebody on the leadership team, we would maybe email you or text you that day, that Wednesday, just to let you know of a specific prayer request. That doesn't always happen either, but it's nice to know that we just have a couple of go-to people that we know are going to be praying for Imago Dei, and then if there is a place where there's a crisis that I can, and obviously those things can be super confidential, but because it might be something at work for me that's, I'm struggling with before trying to get my mind wrapped around Bible study on Thursday. So anyway, just if you would consider doing that, just put your name on here, and Gwen, one of the gals on our leadership team, always reminds you. She'll remind you of your munchie day. She'll remind you of your prayer partner days. And in terms of nighttime study, y'all will just decide if you want to do evening munchies instead of morning munchies, and make yourself a little list, and Gwen will be glad to remind y'all. And then prayer partners too, feel free to choose a date and join us in praying. And we can't have too many, right? I mean, that would be fabulous if we had overlaps or whatever, but we've just tried to get at least 2 per date. That's okay. So what other logistics? Thank you, Joanna. We do have the books for sale while supplies last. Feel free to pick up one for your friend if you know she's joining us and wants a book. And we, of course, do that on the, what do you call that? Honor system. Just whenever you have, they're $15 because it's, hot off the press and it's hardback. So, but I think someone told me that the paperbacks were more expensive. So, yeah, because it's a new release. So anyway, so they are $15. We always want, to let women know, and please let others know who aren't here, that we never want a money situation to keep you from being able to purchase a book or do really anything that we have to offer at Imago Day. And so if that is a need, if you just can't pay for your book right now, or someone else who can't, we just like to kind of keep up with those things just because in our financial piece. So if you would just let one of us know that, it's that is a need, and we are happy to give that book. That also leads us into the fact that we are a 501c3 business company, which is a nonprofit. So any money you would like to donate to us is tax deductible, and we have our tax ID number, so that's always something to keep in mind. We used to, in the beginning days, ask for an administrative fee, like your book, like sometimes the books are like $12, and we say if you have $3 extra for administrative fee for, stamps, envelopes, things like that. We don't do that as much because we have, over the years, been able to build up money from donations and whatnot. But certainly, anytime if you have an extra $5 or just the Lord puts it on your heart, we happily take donations. And like right now, we're prayerfully considering about using nighttime sitters for the nighttime study. There's a need there, and we haven't offered that before, but that might be an expense that we're getting ready to take on, and that's expensive. And so we are fortunate that our daytime study is subsidized by Renolda Church, which is where I've been a member a long time, and the pastor and his wife are on our board, and so they do give us a nice size donation to help us with that cost. So that's very nice that we get that once a month. But adding on another more sitters for the evening would be great access for women who work and then also have kids, and so we would like to be able to do that. So those are great things that if you decide to make a donation that we can feed in, that we know immediate need that we feed into, that we can feed into. Any other?
They're paying for books. We also have Venmo now.
Oh, so thank you, Joanna.
There's an envelope if you want to put a check for cash in the envelope and check off your name, or write your name and check off your name. And there's also the Venmo account that's written down. I think it's at Imago Day-Ministries. Thank you to Heth.
Yes. And it has our little logo. It's not great. I think I took it. Or did you do that? I'm not going to come. I did it. Okay. I thought I did, but I didn't want to knock your handiwork. It does have our logo somewhere in there. I took a picture of it instead of the picture of my face. So, so if you go on Venmo, you could probably likely make sure you're in the right spot because you'll see our logo. So yes, we like to Venmo. I was just saying I've been using the Venmo account. I added a personal card to it, and I've Venmoed my college kids. I've Venmoed another gal that lives out of town, and I'm like, I just kind of feel a little chic. I don't know. I'm very impressed with myself. It's easy. It's just the little things. It's the little things that impress me. Okay. For the morning, 9 to 9:30, we would love for y'all to gather here for fellowship and. Oh, good. That's great. Announcement. Lindsay has paid her Bible study book through Venmo. Way to go, Lindsay. So 9 to 9:30, we love y'all to gather and have munchies and coffee and fellowship. At 9:30, we play that sit-down song. We've been playing the same sit-down song for 15 years, but it never worked, but that's okay. And that's kind of a time to get to your place and have a seat, and then we'll do the large group teaching, worship, and then we will do small group teaching or small group gathering, and then we break for exercise by 11:30 so that we can get in a good 30-minute Karen-style workout. So that's kind of how the mornings go. The evenings are slightly different, but you will see a video in case you're ever missed in the day and you want to just make sure you stay on track. Well, one way you can do that is just simply by watching us on our YouTube channel, right? The Imago Day YouTube channel, so you can watch the video if you want the teaching that week. You can also join our evening study, which is actually meeting in Advance instead of the Pool House this season, and at the home of Brooke Orr. And like I said, I think that we'll have some childcare. We'll see how that goes as the season goes on. They meet from 7 to 9, and 7:15 is a time to fellowship, and then they'll do the same worship songs. They'll do the same teaching because it'll be the exact same teaching by video. And then they'll do the closing worship song, and then they'll have a time of small group discussion. So it ends at 9 promptly. So that's something that you can share with friends, or you can always are welcome to go to that if you miss the morning and you want to be in fellowship with others. So I think that's it. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we are going to just whet our appetite a little bit about our book. So Lysa TerKeurst, who so many of us know because of Proverbs 31. And I think whenever you became a mom, you just learned about Proverbs 31, that's kind of, I think, when I learned. Maybe some of you younger folk picked it up when you were in college, but I was not really looking at Proverbs 31. As we like to say, we were kind of somewhere in Proverbs 32, which actually doesn't exist. But I've been to Proverbs 32 myself, and so that's maybe where I was at that time. But I am really excited because I don't know, it has been so interesting about how many people are picking up this book. So I think that's great. There have been, I know of, other than ours, 2 or 3 other studies that are gathering of women in Winston-Salem area who are studying this book. So, and are starting like this week. So it's just, I think it's really great. I think to me that is an indication that there's a story to be told and an outpouring of what God wants his women to hear. And so I think anytime a book gets that kind of notoriety and people are jumping on it, I think there's truly a message from the Holy Spirit, and that the Lord is excited about the journey that we're going to embark upon by using this book to grow closer to him. So with that being said, if you're ever interested to know where some of these other studies are, we are more than, I think one's meeting at Panera. There's another one meeting in Advance, actually. I think it might be Advance. But anyway, so there are lots of people around studying the book, and I know these are all people that I know and love, and I think that it would be neat if you want to pop in and out with some other ladies that are studying the book. So I don't know how much y'all know, and honestly, I try super hard not to read the book before. I read like 30 pages, but I like just do it like this because I feel like that gives you a good idea. I'm going to read that page. So I wet my own whistle, but I kind of like to just study it along with y'all. I like to be surprised. It's just kind of my Enneagram 7 personality. I will say many things about the Enneagram. Y'all need to just jump on board, but that's for another discussion. But her story, her largest story is, just this infidelity in her marriage and this coming to and being so much in the public eye. She's been in the public eye for a very long time as a Christian leader in our culture, and she ended up having to leave her husband. The Lord just really called her to do that. And during that season, she also, if I'm not mistaken, some of y'all can help me out if you already know, and I know Gwen, I think, read the book twice, but I believe had a cancer diagnosis and also had a crazy stomach situation where she had some of her colon removed. Talk about a Job series in life. And then to be able to come out on the other side and just share a little bit about that journey. And what I love about it is, so just by reading the back of the book, it says, what do you do when God's timing seems questionable, his lack of intervention hurtful, and his promises doubtful? And what I like about it is that she talks about, how this can come in a time of real tragedy in your life. Something like a separation or a financial ruin or a wayward child or a death. But also sometimes we're just disappointed, just with the daily grind that you're in. And I've said many times for me, and so I'm interested to see how this will play out in my journey and my focus on Jesus, is that not that I think tragedy in life is easy, but any tragedy I have had to walk through, deep tragedy of, death or, financial things, I have always sensed the Holy Spirit so close. He's so close to the brokenhearted. And while it's deep despair and sometimes flat on the floor, I was just telling Hef about a time last night where I can remember laying like prostrate in my husband's closet so that my children couldn't hear me, and just on the floor, just weeping and banging, my fist and crying out to God in a really hard time in my life. And but even in those moments, you've got the troops rallying around you, and you're praying, and the Holy Spirit's so close. I often find the days that I long for eternity most are the days that I'm frustrated with my husband. A friend and I are in discord. The job is hard. Dog poops everywhere. Just the daily grind sometimes is a time when I say, Lord, is this it? I'm disappointed. I'm delusioned. And so I'm excited, not only if you're in a place and time of where you really are struggling, where you really are in a tragedy, I think this is a book for you. But also, if you've just ever in a year's time, had a place where you felt distance from him, or you felt disappointed in the way just your daily life is going, I think this is a book for you. It goes on to say that life often looks so very different than we hoped or expected. Some events may simply catch us off guard for a moment, but others shatter us completely. We feel disappointed and delusioned, and we quietly start to wonder about the reality of God's goodness. And I just think any of us as believers would not be truthful with one another or ourselves if we didn't say that, I always like to give it a time frame. Like, in the past month, so 31 days. What is today? Today's the 16th? Is it 17th? 17th. Okay, so since December 17th. Have you had just a moment to doubt that you doubted God's goodness? Martha Metzler, who she actually is the one that does our dates on our calendar, dear friend of mine, her son got the flu and the stomach bug at the same time. I'm like, well, what's good about that? Martha's such a great saint. She does so many nice things. I get delusioned by things like that. That's not fair. Now I will have to say, anytime I say that's not fair, I have to go back to my tried and true, which you've heard before, but I tell you, if your kids are or even if your kids are older, you should use it with them. But and I think I made it up on my own, but one of my best things I've ever done in my family with my children is to tell them that you would not want life to be fair, because if life was fair, God wouldn't have died on the cross for us, and then you'd get what you would really be deserving. And I have raised 3 children who I have never, ever, hardly ever hear them say life's not fair, or that's not fair. No matter what their friends got, no matter what their kids, no matter their siblings got, no matter what we said to them in terms of they've never said it's not fair. Because I instilled it very early in them that you don't want to say that. You can say a whole lot of other things, and believe me, they have, particularly as they got older. But they just know that that's not in their makeup to say it's not fair, but that's in so much of our makeup. I said it a lot when I was a kid. I thought everything wasn't fair. Because Stacy always got all the good stuff, my older sister. So I also like on the inside flip of this, it said, this is how the formula should calculate. Hard times plus healing time plus staying faithful to God should equal the exact good outcome we are counting on. So she's even saying, okay, so we're all going to know that, God said in this world there will be trouble, right? He says it in his word, so we know this. So we're like, okay, we know that, God. So then, there's going to be some healing time, and we're going to be faithful to God. And so then the outcome we're looking for is going to come, right? It says, if you are a human who has been doing the adult thing for more than 24 hours, you've probably come to the same stunning revelation as I have. We cannot control our outcomes. But what if the victory, I think this is the clincher of if you think this book is for you, but what if the victory is only in part how things turn out? What if it isn't only in part how things turn out? What if a bigger part of being victorious is how well we live today, this hour, this minute? She goes on to say that disappointments are an inevitable part of life, yet despite the way they sometimes throw our worlds completely off kilter, they don't have to signify the end. In fact, they are often what must be for something new to begin. And it's not supposed to be this way. Lisa Turkos offers a safe guide, fresh biblical insight, and reorienting perspectives for this life between Eden and eternity. with refreshing honesty and deep encouragement. So the things she's going to help us do: stop being pulled into the anxiety of disappointment by discovering how to better process unmet expectations and other painful situations. Train ourselves to recognize the 3 strategies of the enemy so we can stand strong and persevere through unsettling relationships and uncertain outcomes. And then finally, discover the secret of being steadfast and not panicking when God actually does give us more than we can handle. So that's kind of a little bit about what the book is about, and what it's like. And she's got some really cool stuff in here. There's a place, I think, that's called At the Well or Come to the Well. Maybe y'all remember. Oh, Going to the Well. I love that. Little insights along the way. I think it's an easy read because there's a lot of, I like little things like this. That's, again, my Enneagram 7 self. So I was like, oh, look at that! That's so cool. Like right there in the middle of the book. It's like you think it's just like a book, like just a chapter book, and then you get a picture with big words. And you're like, I love that! So I am just thrilled to be able to come alongside of y'all and hope that kind of excites you, ignites you, is resonating in your heart in some way about how God is calling you to this time, to this book, to this study, and where he wants to take you on this journey with us and with our author. And so that's what we're going to be doing.